It was a night unlike any other, a night where trust would be shattered and loyalty would be tested in ways no one could ever imagine. The air was thick with tension as James walked through the dimly lit alley, his heart pounding against his chest. Like a war drum, he knew that tonight would change everything he had spent years building bonds with people he thought would stand by him no matter what. But now whispers of betrayal had reached his ears, whispers that twisted like a dagger in his back. James had always been the kind of man who believed in honor. He had risked everything for his closest friends, and he had never once doubted their loyalty. But the world had a cruel way of proving him wrong as he approached the abandoned warehouse. At the end of the street, his mind raced with memories of laughter, of promises made under the stars of nights where he had sworn that nothing would ever tear them apart. But now that promise felt like a lie, an illusion he had desperately clung to while the reality of deception lurked in the shadows. Inside the warehouse, the air was thick with smoke, and the flickering light from a single overhead bulb cast eerie shadows against the cold metal walls. A group of men stood in a semicircle, their faces partially hidden by the darkness. At the center of them was Michael, the one person James had never doubted, the one person who had been by his side through every storm. And yet now he stood among them, his expression unreadable, his stance betraying nothing of what he might be thinking. James felt his stomach twist as he stepped forward, his voice steady despite the chaos inside his mind. So this is what it comes to, after everything we have been through. This is how it ends. Michael remained silent for a long moment before finally speaking, his voice carrying the weight of something unspoken, something that could break everything apart. It was never meant to be like this. James, you have to understand, I never wanted any of this. But sometimes choices are made for us. Choices that we cannot run from. James clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. He had heard those words before. They were the words of a coward. The words of someone who had already decided to betray. Everything they once stood for. You had a choice, Michael. We all do, and you chose to stand against me. Tell me why. Tell me what they promised you. Was it money? Was it power? Was it something worth throwing away years of loyalty and trust for? Michael's eyes flickered with something almost like regret. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. His gaze hardened, and he took a step forward, the others behind him shifting slightly as if preparing for something bigger, something worse. It is not that simple. James, things are never that simple. And if you think they are, then maybe you never really understood any of this. Maybe you never really knew me. The words cut deeper than any knife. They echoed in James's mind, like the sound of shattering glass, because in that moment he realized the truth. Michael had changed. Or maybe he had never changed at all. Maybe James had just been blind to who he really was. The pain in his chest was not from fear or anger. It was from loss. The loss of something he had held on to so tightly for so long. The room felt colder. The distance between them seemed impossible to bridge. The silence between them stretched until it became unbearable, and then without warning, the tension snapped like a frayed wire. Everything happened in an instant. Guns were drawn, voices were raised, and the sound of betrayal rang louder than anything else in the chaos James fought his way through. He did not care about the others. He did not care about the danger. All he cared about was reaching Michael, demanding an answer, forcing him to explain why he had done this, why he had turned his back when they had sworn to stand together until the end. But there were no explanations. There were no answers. Only the sharp sting of realization that nothing would ever be the same again as the dust settled and the echoes of the fight faded. James stood amidst the wreckage, breathing heavily, his hands trembling, his heart shattered into 1,000 unfixable pieces. Michael was gone, vanished into the night, leaving behind nothing but questions that would never be answered and a pain that would never truly fade.